An elder chief rose slowly in the middle of the ceremony, the sun burning down on his weathered shoulders. When President Ibrahim Traoré extended his hand, the old man turned his back. He spat near the president's boots and shouted that he would never accept blood-soaked gifts from a government that had forgotten its people. The crowd froze. Hands flew to holsters. One wrong move and history would spill onto the dirt. But Ibrahim didn't reach for power. He reached for patience. What he did next didn't silence just the village, it shook the entire nation. Bani was the kind of place presidents forgot existed. A scorched village in Burkina Faso's eastern drylands, where roads were scars in the earth and the clinic was nothing more than a locked promise. 4 years, politicians had arrived in air-conditioned convoys, smiled for cameras, dropped rice, and disappeared. So when rumors spread that Ibrahim Traoré himself was coming, no one believed it. Presidents don't come to places like Bani. But at exactly 10 a.m., dusty unmarked trucks rolled in, and Ibrahim stepped out, not in a suit, but in fatigues, ready for work, not applause. Under a towering baobab tree, the elders waited. Cameras rolled. The script was simple: grain, handshake, cheers. Ibrahim lifted the ceremonial sack with both hands, a sign of respect. The chief didn't move. Seconds stretched. Then, with a sudden strike, the old man knocked the grain into the dirt. "We do not eat promises," he shouted. He spoke of dry wells, stolen cattle, and abandoned children. Gasps tore through the crowd as guards surged forward. One signal, and the chief would vanish. Ibrahim raised a single hand. "Stand down." Then he bent, brushed the dust from the grain, and stepped closer, so close the anger had nowhere to hide. He turned off the microphone and asked a question no one expected. "Who did you lose?" The chief's rage collapsed into grief. "My grandson, Malik, 7 years old." The story spilled out, how a clinic was built for photos, how the doors were locked, how a child died on concrete steps while medicine sat unseen behind walls. Ibrahim didn't argue. He didn't excuse. He turned and called out the regional health director by name. Paper reports claimed the clinic was operational. Ibrahim asked for the keys. The chief didn't have them. "Good," Ibrahim said. "We're going there now." Excuses followed. Bad roads. Unreadiness. Ibrahim cut them off cold. "If a child could be carried there on his grandfather's back, we can drive." The clinic looked perfect from the outside. Inside, it was a tomb. Until a flashlight beam revealed the truth. Boxes stacked high, stamped, government property. Not for sale. Anti-malarial drugs. Equipment. Generators. Delivered years ago. Expired while children died outside. Ledgers exposed everything. Stolen medicine sold for cash, signatures approving the theft. The director panicked, then threatened. Ibrahim answered with handcuffs. "Treat him like what he is," he said. "A thief, Deus," the man screamed. He confessed there was more, a network, protection from the top. One name in the ledger froze Ibrahim's blood. A mentor. A guardian. A man he trusted. The fight was no longer political. It was personal. On the road back, mercenaries blocked the convoy. A phone was handed over. The voice on the line was calm, familiar. An ultimatum. Forget Bani or lose everything. Ibrahim stepped out anyway. He didn't negotiate. He acted. In seconds, chaos erupted. Flash, fire, steel, just enough to break through. They raced toward the capital with truth on the dashboard and enemies everywhere. By sunset, the narrative flipped. State media called Ibrahim a traitor. Arrest orders were issued. Tanks blocked the highway. There was nowhere left to run. So Ibrahim did the unthinkable. He stepped out alone and walked toward the barrels. No weapon. No shield. Just conviction. He spoke of oaths, children, truth. Silence answered him, until a young soldier climbed from a tank and chose conscience over command. The turrets turned. The convoy didn't capture him. It followed him. The capital erupted. Thousands poured into the streets as Ibrahim rode atop a tank, ledger raised high. Lies collapsed in real time. At the national broadcaster, gates fell, police defected, and the truth stormed the studio live on air. When the mastermind lunged to silence the signal forever, Ibrahim tackled him without firing a shot. The screen flickered, then came back to reveal justice on the floor and truth standing over it. Names were read. Networks exposed. Power shattered. The nation watched corruption fall without a single speech written in advance, only proof, courage, and action. What followed wasn't chaos, but repair. Clinics reopened. Doctors arrived. Medicine flowed where silence once lived. Months later, Ibrahim returned to Bonny. No tanks. No cameras chasing drama. The clinic doors were open. Children played. The old chief stepped forward and extended his hand, the same hand that once knocked hope into the dirt. This time, it was steady. "You listened," he said. Ibrahim shook it firmly. "You spoke," he replied. That's why this changed. The legend spread, not of a president who punished disrespect, but of a leader who honored it. A lesson etched into the nation's memory. Real power doesn't shout, doesn't threaten, doesn't hide. Real power listens, then moves without fear. The handshake under the baobab tree did not end the story. It ignited something far more dangerous and far more powerful. Because when a nation watches its leader choose truth over ego, silence over rage, and justice over convenience, expectations change forever. And expectations are the most terrifying enemy of corruption. And the days after the broadcast, the capital did not sleep. Phones rang through the night. Offices once sealed behind tinted glass suddenly went dark. Men who had never feared the law began booking flights that never took off. Documents were burned. Servers were wiped. But the ledger had already done its damage. The people had seen the names with their own eyes, and once truth is seen, it cannot be unseen. Inside the presidential palace, Ibrahim Traoré refused celebration. While the streets filled with chants and drums, he sat with military prosecutors, auditors, and investigators, moving with the urgency of a battlefield commander. He knew this window was small. Corruption never sleeps, it hides, adapts, and strikes back. If he slowed down, they would regroup. If he hesitated, they would paint him as a tyrant. So he moved faster than they could lie. Arrests followed, not in secret, not at night, but in daylight. Regional directors were pulled from offices. Businessmen once protected by foreign passports were stopped at airports. Bank accounts were frozen mid-transfer. For the first time, power was not protecting wealth. Power was chasing it. And the people noticed something strange. No one was untouchable anymore. The military felt it too. Soldiers who had spent years guarding politicians instead of villages began to stand straighter. Barracks buzzed with quiet pride. Ibrahim walked among them without escort, ate the same food, slept in the same quarters. He reminded them that uniforms were not costumes, they were promises. And promises, once broken, kill nations faster than bullets. But the backlash came exactly as he predicted. International headlines shifted tone. The same outlets that once praised stability now warned of authoritarian tendencies. Sanctions were whispered. Aid delays were threatened. Advisors urged him to compromise, to slow down, to sacrifice a few names to save the system. Ibrahim listened carefully and refused every single offer. Because he knew something they didn't. The system was already dead. The people just needed proof. In Bonny, life continued quietly. The clinic became a real place, not a symbol. Babies cried. Nurses laughed. Medicine shelves emptied for the right reasons. The chief visited every morning, not as a guard of tradition, but as a witness to change. Sometimes he sat alone on the clinic steps, remembering a boy named Malik. And for the first time, grief didn't feel pointless. One evening, as the sun bled into the horizon, Ibrahim stood on the palace balcony overlooking the city. His advisor asked him the question everyone was thinking, but no one dared to say. Was it worth it? Ibrahim didn't answer immediately. He thought of the locked doors, the expired pills, the tank barrels, the phone call from a mentor turned enemy. Then he thought of a child running across a clinic floor that used to be dark. We haven't paid the full price yet, he said quietly. But we've stopped pretending. That was when the threats changed. Anonymous messages. Warnings wrapped in politeness. Friends advising exile, just in case. Intelligence reports of money moving, militias reorganizing, narratives being prepared. Ibrahim understood the truth every revolutionary learns too late. Cleaning rot makes the building unstable before it becomes strong again. Still, he didn't flinch. Instead, he went back to the villages. No cameras. No speeches. Just listening. The same question every time. What did you lose? And every answer carved policy deeper than any consultant ever could. Wells came before monuments. Clinics before conferences. Teachers before tanks. Slowly, painfully, the country began to recognize itself again. Months later, a schoolteacher in a distant province told her students the story of the chief who refused a handshake and the president who refused revenge. She didn't teach it as politics. She taught it as courage, as proof that authority can kneel without breaking, and that listening can be louder than gunfire. The children asked if the president was a hero. She shook her head. No, she said. He just did what heroes are supposed to do. That answer spread further than any speech ever could. And somewhere in Bonny, under the same baobab tree, the old chief watched his grandchildren play in the dust. The land hadn't changed. The heat hadn't softened. Life was still hard. But the lie was gone. And sometimes, that is enough to let a nation breathe again. Because in the end, the story was never about a president, a chief, or even a ledger. It was about a single moment when power was tested, and listening won. And once that happens, nothing ever goes back to the way it was.